When you let me Romeo, nakisha kupona mie, sikia mshafunga kwa komeo, ya usisikie. Mabaya wanasema unifai, wanasema yetu mahali na kwenye mpenzi na imani, baby. Mabaya wanasema unifai, wanasema yetu mahali na kwenye mpenzi na imani, baby. This kind of love, until you cut sides of love. This kind of love, until you cut sides of love. Ipora dinite, tekete, mama nite, tekete, wala kubala thamani, Ipora dinite, tekete, mama nite, tekete, wala kubala thamani, Abaya wanasema unifai, wanasema yetu na halina, kwenye mpenzi na imani. I wanna see you fine. It's when you know I'm baby. It's coming out. Until patata kwa sponsor this kind of love, until patata kwa this kind of love.
Right, so I want to start this discussion tonight. So I want to welcome everyone who is joining. So you can join this conversation by just clicking the link, and then once you click the link, it takes you in, and then we'll join in this discussion. Today's discussion is about the status of emergency in Kenya, especially now that we have coronavirus outbreak. We want to look at how that status is and how are we doing our emergency response. So you are welcome for this discussion. So I'll be waiting to you to join. Alphonse is going to join soon. So once get you guys to join, we'll start in this discussion. All right. So.
Uliniwacha bila fahamu kuwa ni yako zamu, angalau ungeniambia eti unakam nitulize hamu wangu wa dhati. Hey, tama zangu zimenikwamia mikononi, labda huu ni mwisho wa dunia. Safiri salama, msalimu Maulana, tutaonana baadaye. Safiri salama, msalimu Maulana, tutaonana baadaye. Tutaonana baadaye.
All right, so I'd like to start this conversation. So if you want to join this conversation, you can just use the link. Um, so I was starting, and then Wekesa was to join, and then I think he left. So before maybe getting back or any other person to join, maybe let me see. Wekesa. I know
Is my
today is a
mic
very
okay?
sad day. Yeah, it's okay. I know it's very sad, but we think we can talk, is it?
Yeah, we are mourning. The more we talk, the more we release ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. So I want us to maybe start this conversation. So we just go to it. You just maybe first introduce yourself, and then we go to it.
I'm Wekesa Eric, mkaaji wa Masaku County. Yes.
Good. Good. Bilha, you are saying you can't access the link. Huh? Let me send you this link. I'll send you through your messenger. All right. So, Wekesa, so Professor, first of all, maybe you can share how you knew Professor Ken Wariobora. I think we read his Siku Jema. That's the only book I read with passion. So maybe just share how you knew him.
Yeah, I only interacted with the professor when we were students in high school. Actually, Siku Njema was one of our set book. So it was that time he had come to do inaitwanga uchambuzi. Yeah, there is that guidebook of Siku Njema that he had also written. So he came to explain exactly the idea behind the book of Siku Njema. And that's when we interacted with him closely. Otherwise, we just used to love his book. And from that closer interactions, if we came to learn that part of the things he had written in most of his books were life experiences. So he's one guy who converted life experience into literature that people can read and appreciate.
Yeah.
I admire his prowess in Kiswahili. I'm not good at Kiswahili actually, but I love his passion for Kiswahili and his advocacy for Kiswahili as a national language, which should be cherished. I remember one of the clips I watched was he had a problem with why we penalize students who are speaking Swahili, and we insist that they should speak English. When actually when you go to America, nobody will penalize you for speaking English and ask you to speak Swahili. So he was saying that Africa is the only continent which has not cherished its own native languages and made them, even if some of them have been put like Swahili as national languages, but we tend to look at it like it's an inferior language.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his advocacy was we need to grow our languages and make them just superior as any other language, just as French is comfortable speaking French and they cherish it. So I love his passion for language.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So first of all, maybe the only issue here in the whole conversation is the gaps that that has been now identified that actually Professor Ken, maybe the circumstances that made his death, it was maybe you can share from what now we have received and where you see the gaps.
Yeah, okay. Generally, our emergency units are not well equipped. Now, most of the time, from the medical practitioner perspective, we are told that around less than 50, around 45% of patients who need emergency medical care, they don't die because of anything else, but they die because of delayed response. So delayed response contribute almost half of the deaths in terms of um, patients who need emergency medical care. And then this delay may be brought up with several factors. One, you may find that personnels could be limited. For example, I watched a few statistics. Was it early? I think last year.
Yeah.
They were talking about that in the whole country have around 15 doctors who are attached to emergency care unit, and only around 200 nurses, and then around 1,000 technicians. So we are told that sometimes when worst comes to worst, you find that a nurse may be forced to attend to two patients. So that means if you are attending to two patients, one will delay, one will have to wait. There are few cases where, let me isolate one example without giving much detail, but just for guidance. There's a student, a colleague of mine who died, I think 2016. We were with her in the college. She got an accident on Ngong Road, a motorbike accident, caught a fracture of both limbs. We were told that it took time to get, in fact, it's just a matatu which picked her and rushed her to hospital because it took time to get an ambulance from where she was to the hospital. Then reaching to the hospital, she was groaning in pain. That the explanation was given by her husband, that there around 8 hours she was just groaning in pain, but she had not been attended to. And so for him, he said even after being attended to, she passed on. So for him, he was explaining that the wife died because of pain. Yeah. So in emergency, there are what we call patients resuscitation. Then we have the patients stabilizing, then treatment. So if the first two, resuscitation and the stabilizing, if you haven't stabilized that patient, you will either die or the situation will worsen. And in emergency unit, in emergency treatment, what happens is that the best way to handle it is that it should happen on the scene. If you got an accident at Thika Road, it means if an ambulance comes to pick you, is better because something needs to be done there before you are brought to the hospital. Because most of these guys, you realize he may have got an accident at, let me give you that example of the Ngong Road. But the first aid is done in Kenyatta Hospital. So that distance between Ngong Road to Kenyatta Hospital, there is no fast response to the patient. So this one of the things is either the situation worsens or it cannot be controlled.
Okay.
So that's what is happening to our emergency units. You can, and then another issue is about funds. You know, most of the time, if okay, a few of those who get accidents and come from well-off background, the response is always fast. They can even get an airlift. You find that there is an airlift and there is an aeroplane, there is an airlift, and somebody is attended to very fast. They can choose where the patient needs to be admitted. Most of the struggling families find it difficult even for a choice of where the patient needs to be treated. Even a means of transport, by just waiting for an ambulance and it's not coming,
Yeah.
they cannot even have a means of transport that can take them very fast to somewhere they can get an emergency response for stabilization of the patient.
Okay.
And so, and even when they choose where to take the person, it is the fear of the medical bills that it dictates where they want to take the patient. So you find them taking, somebody has got an accident, let's say he has got an accident near Thika there. Yeah. So somebody may opt to go either to KNH, and maybe there is a private hospital just near there that can give an emergency care response very fast. So funds play a role, and also let's talk about our specialists. I told you that we don't have enough specialists, and even those who are there, they say that majority of them don't have adequate training. They're not well trained to handle the patients in terms of emergency, such that the first line of defense is given what they need first to stabilize and everything.
Okay.
So you find that one becomes a struggle. And then maybe last year we talk about our ICUs. We have a problem with ICU beds, although they say that ICU beds don't determine how many patients will die if they are given proper attention. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that take, Wakesa. I want to bring Conrad. Conrad, maybe you can introduce yourself and then we'll go to this discussion. And especially, I want to hear when the patient maybe is being picked from the scene of the accident, and when the patient goes to the hospital, the mechanism, especially in KNH, whereby they thought maybe this case is critical, this is not, since Professor Ken took a long time to actually get attention, medical attention. Conrad?
Yes, I am Conrad Sanya from Busia, and the story of Professor Ken Walibora is actually a story which so many people go through in most of these big referral hospitals. Now, you see the problem, if you have ever been to KNH, the problem with that place is that whenever people come there, the staff is stretched to the limit. So when you are taken to accident and whatever, it
Yep.
depends with how they don't really bother about you so much because they have other cases they're actually sorting out. So they don't actually bother to see and push these people that you have a serious case here, come and sort it. If you are just taking the people living themselves are busy, and if there's nobody to push this around, they never bother check you unless they are free to do so. So I think is an issue, because for if any serious hospital, if there's an accident and emergency unit should always have a way that they can be able to sort out cases. They are able to, anybody who arrives there with or without money should be able to be attended to. Money issue, because in a critical case, money issue you can't delve on money issue on a person has no has no money, or on a person who has no finances. So I think there's a laxity somewhere the way it is made, because I think if it is properly handled, a person should first of all go. If the person is critically ill, when they are brought, their first thing they should go, they should be attended to a doctor. There should always be a doctor there on standby to attend to them and see what the issue is before they are taken on waiting or something like that. That's what normally happens if there's a serious case, if there's so many people flocking in. But I'm not sure if there are so many people flocking at that time. I'm not sure around this curfew time if people are so many that side flocking into that emergency accident and emergency unit. So I think it's just a problem with a system problem we have. Yeah. So because from the stories I've read, which I'm not sure if they are true or not, but he was left unattended to for some time before eventually they tried to help him, and unfortunately he had already passed on. So I think there's just it's a simple problem they can easily sort out. It's not something that we require so much, just a simple issue. We can sort them out and see, because this is the second case, the other case being ICU beds being full, the guy having to wait for so many, walking around a critically ill patient, being taken from hospital to hospital. So it is about how how the system in that hospital are working, but it's not so, because if
Conrad, continue.
they tried even to say there's no bed and there's nothing, but if they tried to look at him and check him directly, they should access you. But if they left him to die there, because probably he was poor, he looked poor, he had nobody.
Okay.
I'm sure if he was brought there with somebody and he could introduce themselves, like this is Ken Walibora, this is Professor somebody, probably the case could have been handled better.
Okay.
So I think that one is just that's what I can say about that issue.
All right. So, Alphonse, maybe I want to come to you in terms of policy, like the kind of policy we have when we are handling emergency cases. Like in this case about Ken Oribora, there was the first ambulance that actually arrived to the scene and refused to carry him. So we can look at why did it refuse to carry him, to take him to the hospital. Number two, when maybe we go to hospital, why do we even request a police report or even, especially when it comes to cases of suicide attempts and accidents and even maybe assault cases? Alphonse, sorry, can you unmute your mic?
I hope I can be heard now.
Yes, yes.
Say my name is Alphonse Were, labor policy consultant in Nairobi. I was saying, I think the questions you are giving me are very many. I don't know if I forget any part of the question, you can remind me.
Yeah, I will.
But let's start with the issue of the policy. I don't think the problem was policy at the scene, because that is just inhumane and lack of ethos or ethics. We are ideally supposed to help anybody who is in need, and when somebody has an accident and you are the ambulance, you are supposed to pick that body and help the person, especially if they are still alive. So the first ambulance failing to pick him is not a matter of policy. It's a matter of ethics and morals. It's a matter of humane or lack of it. And I think we need to do better. The emergency is not meant for people you know. So if you are in an emergency response team member and you are in an ambulance at that point, unless you are running for another emergency, so that you call somebody and say, me, I'm going to pick person A or at point X, and I've passed this point and I've gotten another body, and that means you are on call for that specific one you're going for. I think ideally you're supposed to assist this one. So the issue of Ken at the point was just pure negligence for the personnel of the ambulance one and even the first officers who are around there, because there were other methods that we could have used. An officer, a police officer in this case, can actually request even a private citizen to carry that body and guarantee them that they will not necessarily be used as witnesses. They're only doing that for the sake of saving that life, because private citizens now fear being witnesses in cases of accidents. Yeah. Now, that is part one of the question that I got. The other issue is, how do we address this? Now, our country is a country of crisis of choice. We have wrong priorities. Our healthcare system is primarily made up of two sides: the human side and the animal or then and the animal side, where animal is all other animals apart from human beings. So we have veterinary doctors and we have human doctors. Now these two work hand in hand. So what I expect from our Directorate of Health, that the health directorate is supposed to be dealing with both medical health, which is human medicine, and veterinary health or veterinary medicine side, so that we have those two sides as the major branches that now coordinate the rest of the medicine or medical field in the country. Now, the next thing I expect to be done, and in terms of policy, we don't have a problem at that point. What we have is the implementation, particularly when it comes to human resourcing. It's actually around, it's now 30 years, because from 1990, I think 1991, that was the last time we had a rememberable act of hiring vet doctors in Kenya. So we have not had them, and all of them are actually, those who have not yet left employment by now are retiring 2020, 2021. So in 2022, we'll literally have no vet doctor, who is very critical in our health system, because even as we now are all at home because of coronavirus, it's zoonotic in nature, which means it has a relationship between animals and human beings. And in this case, we primarily hear that it actually emanated from an animal, then came into human beings. So that is it. But now for issue of Ken Walibora and emergency response, two problems. One is that our facilities are not equipped for emergency response, both in terms of human resourcing as well as equipment. Because emergency is an emergency. If you have ever been to Kenyatta, to be specific, I've been there myself, to Kenyatta National Hospital, and see people die. And you see them die. It's not like you see somebody coming and you are there, they queue with you, and you are fairly not as critically sick as they are. Them, they have to follow a process that does not exist. I remember a patient critically ill, and the admission took 16 hours. And this guy was in extreme pain, and an elderly man in his 70s. So, and I've also seen people die. Personally, I've seen people die in Kenyatta. And I don't work in Kenyatta. So you can imagine those who work there, how many they have seen. And then even the response now of the people who work there, I think they have seen this so many times until dying there is normal, because they are overwhelmed. Yeah. So what we need is to do proper resourcing, one of the medical health workers, so that we have enough workers who can do enough jobs, so that we don't overwork them. That means we need to do proper training for more people, but also hire those that we have already trained. So that is one for me. But number two, emergency healthcare is a specialty in itself. It requires some enhanced training over and above the normal medical training. So if you are a nurse, you need to be enhanced, you even know how to serve somebody in ICU. Because now, I think it's called critical care. I'm not a medical person. in any of the things I've ever studied, but I understand there's something called critical care. Now, in critical care, I also understand that you must have some enhanced training so that you can actually do a better job in critical care management of patients. Yeah, so the matter of critical care, we also need to train people, remunerate them slightly different from the rest, but also have enough people and personnel to take care of emergency. Emergency will not happen every day, but when it happens, it can be so serious, and therefore we always need people to be on board and to help us around that.
Okay.
So I don't know, is there a part of the question that I've left out?
Maybe the part, why do we need to fill even police reports to be able to admit someone, maybe from a suicide case?
Suicide and
Yeah, suicide, assault, and even some accident cases.
yeah, so ideally the police comes in when it is a criminal issue in relation to what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Now, suicide is a crime.
Mm.
So if you are practicing and you help to cover up crime, then we may have it difficult to when we go to a court of law to confirm the criminality. So from the word go, if somebody is injured with a bullet, is supposed to be reported. So what should be done ideally is that we need to have a police post next to any health facility. So that if this person is not able to do it, then the police officers can come and record what they are seeing. But if the person is able to record, then they can be facilitated to record. But if not, then it's supposed to be done in the presence of a police officer who is supposed to guide the process, so that that criminality now is the work that police will pick from there. But if in the presence of police, it becomes easier. Now, so it's because of the criminal issue. Because after that, if you had a bullet wound, then the question will be, where were you hit? If it was your fault, you are supposed to be taken to court. If it was somebody, the person who shot you, who was on the fault, they're supposed to be taken to court, and there's supposed to be evidence. The procedure that the law requires supposed to be fulfilled, so that when you have a case, the case is watertight. So I think that's where we come in, and that is the issue. So anything that borders criminality or that has criminal element, then will require police. So police purely is because of criminal element. Suicide is criminal. Murder is criminal. So if you hit somebody by a car, and let's say the accident was a car accident, so it is a potential murder case. It's a potential manslaughter case if you did it without intention. Yeah. So both manslaughter and murder are criminal issues. So that
Yeah.
police will be required to be on board. And
Right.
even if it was poison, even if it was an emergency case due to poison. So if you are poisoned, whoever poisoned you, you need to be taken to court. If you are the one who took the poison, which now is both poisoning yourself and committing suicide, now both of them are criminal in nature. So I think police comes on board because of criminality or criminal elements, and for the sake of the cases that will come. If somebody will say that I was being killed by a vehicle, and yet they were on the wrong. You see, if criminality was not considered, then the process might give them another due advantage. But if there was a flyover, maybe they were supposed to use the upper or lower pass of the road, and then they just decided to cross the road carelessly, then they are on the wrong, because the vehicle at that point maybe are not alerted to be moving at a lower speed. So the speed then was lethal to kill them or disable them completely. I think I've responded fairly well on that.
Sure. Good. So,
No,
Wekesa.
I have a question in line with what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if we look at the Walibora's case,
Yes.
was he maybe should we blame the first ambulance? Maybe was it an issue of they were trying to assess whether, because there is a confusion whether it was a murder case or an accident. So was it that they caught us to the scene and they were unable to assess the situation, or what happened? Because I don't think that an ambulance can just go to pick a patient, then reach there, and then all of a sudden they change their mind. Was there something cray that they were avoiding?
I think it is too early to substantively report or say something about this. But from the elementary statement after pathology and pathological briefing on the media, which I don't think we have the report, but at least we have the briefing, which you can use. It is possible that the first ambulance was going for another assignment. So they could not therefore stand there for that assignment. That's a possibility. Another possibility about the first ambulance is that when they arrived at the scene, they discovered that they needed other staff members, because again, if the driver was the only one in that ambulance, then he may not be in a position, or she may not be in a position to do that job. So we don't have those details to concretely give some good report. However, what is very clear in the little we have now at this point, is the fact that Kenyatta National Hospital had an emergency case, and they could have done better. So if you ask me, the first person we are likely to hold culpable, and the one we need to hold strictly culpable, is Kenyatta National Hospital at this point. Because why spend 10 hours with a casualty case, or 14 hours for that matter?
Right. So, Wekesa.
But because before you go to Wekesa, I heard when you started, Wekesa had a chance to talk about Ken Walibora.
Yeah.
And I'm also one of those who did his book Siku Njema. But I've also read others of some of his work. He has written almost 42 books, and I've interacted with quite a number, maybe 18 or 19 of them. And those who have done, even apart from Siku Njema, which those who did were really enjoyed, and they have a personal touch with most of what he said. There are also those who have done in the recent past. There's another book called Kidaga Kimemwozea. They similarly have the same nostalgic memories of the book in high school. But all said and done, even those, there are books here. Even when he went to America, he wrote a book, I think, called Ndoto ya America, Americani. Now, all his work are passionate works, and they are literally possible. In fact, I remember sharing with my household that it's maybe possible that even if he went there by himself to the place he was found, it's probably was going to survey the place as part of his literary work, because he was somebody who was hands-on and was on the ground, and whatever stories he wrote, there are things that exist. Yeah. So as a person, I think Ken Walibora has challenged me, and for that reason, if we in this session, if you find me speaking a lot of Swahili, I will attempt to speak part of it. If you find me speaking Swahili, it's just in remembrance of him. He gave me the urge actually to feel that I can actually speak Swahili, speak it very well, perform in a class, and I did perform. In fact, it was one of my best subjects, I am happy that I was inspired by somebody I never met physically then. But since then to date, I still speak good Swahili, not because of anything, but because I feel there are people who have invested for us to speak our own local languages. And he was one of my most inspiring figures in Kiswahili.
Good. That's a good take, actually. So anyone who is willing to talk Swahili in remembrance of Ken, we really welcome that. Okay, Wekesa. So Wekesa, my point is this, because Alphonse is bringing maybe the aspect of having a police post in hospitals. But my question is, as the public and maybe as activists, have we failed healthcare professionals when they're agitating for this kind of the system resourcing, maybe having better capacities, and also maybe even resources to handle these kind of things?
Yeah, I think we have never given them the support that they deserve. And most of the time, when we see them agitating, we see it as an interruption with our lives. And most of the time we will, I hear some echoes. Most of the time we focus on the few inconveniences they cause in the process of agitation for improvement of the medical fraternity. But however, this time the focus is there, and we should get it right, that we need our medical fraternity well equipped. And I was listening to one of the professors of Aga Khan University, not university, Aga Khan University, Aga Khan Hospital, who was saying that if Kenya needs to have a good or a well-equipped emergency unit, then we probably have to think of actually 5 assorted departments of emergency unit in every county. And for him, he was saying, I think he was called Professor Shir, and he was saying that if every emergency unit, actually for it to be called, to be well equipped, it needs around 10 million. So I was just doing my simple mathematics. If we have, if we need 5 departments, each with a whopping 10 million, for 47 counties, we need around 2.5 billion. So 2.5 billion is not a lot of money for our country, but sometimes we take it for granted. So most counties don't have a well-established emergency unit. You will just see them written emergency unit, but when you go there, what happens there is pathetic. And we seriously need to listen to our medical practitioners, the professionals who understand what needs to be done, and fix this thing once and for all.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, Conrad, maybe turn on your mic. Conrad? Right, good. So, Conrad, on the
Yes.
same, like Wekete is talking about maybe how we can actually empower medical practitioners. Have we, as the public and maybe activists and everyone involved, failed medical practitioners? Conrad?
Yes, I think as a public, probably we have not been so keen on some of the issues being raised, because most of the time the medical workers go on strike. They raise very pertinent issues, but what we only get to hear about is the salary bit. That is all of us what we get to hear about. But they also raise other pertinent issues about staffing. They raise issues about supplies. They raise issues about the condition they have to work in. And these issues they get, I think, whenever they finish, the government sort of the one issue, the other issue, you're the one supposed to agitate for it, because it never happens. For example, an accident, it has taken, for example, in my county, it has taken this corona thing for them to start building an accident, an emergency, actually an emergency unit somewhere where we can get an ICU bed and such like stuff. They have just started building it, and I think they'll be opening it. They said this week, in the course of this week. But before then, we didn't have one. We didn't have a single ICU bed in the entire county. So we had to refer all our cases either to Eldoret or mostly Eldoret. People rarely go to Kisumu. So those are the kind of issues. When you look, the issue is like throughout the entire thing, we need to look at the healthcare very well. This is the time probably people get to understand the critical role that healthcare plays and what are the gaps that exist there. I was like, I don't know if you checked it. I think it was on Citizen or where they were talking about the cost of something like managing the COVID. The people who are in isolation, something like that, and they're talking about a figure of 1 million. Then for the other first one, they're talking about 500,000, and you could look, most of that figure was just going to PPEs.
Yeah.
That figure, you can imagine. So, and these are things we can able to produce locally. So we need to relook at our healthcare system holistically and check what is it, what are the gaps, what are the solutions. Some of the solution maybe can be local solution to these problems, rather than relying on the most expensive bids. When you are talking about big figures, see, when people talk about, they're talking about what do you need? You need something like this. Then they mention a big figure. But when you go to details, probably what are the specifications for this thing? If it's an ICU bed, what are the specifications for this ICU bed? It is A, B, C, D. What can be made in this country? Because what we do, we just go and say, like, we need an ICU bed, and you start checking around. Okay, there's one in Japan. How much does it cost? You come with that figure. But if we look and see this equipment is needed here, this equipment is needed here. If it is the bed, can it be made here? So that we don't just go and import everything, which is very expensive. So some people don't do that. And we should encourage, like, we develop local solution, because if we go the same route you are taking, relying on not having any local any local alternative to what we have here, our healthcare system will continue being expensive and inaccessible to so many people. But I think this is the time we should, at least the public, should take up these issues, because it is us who, if we go to hospital, if you go there and you find there's no drug, they tell you to go and buy the chemist. That is the issue about supplies. If you go where we have like a very expensive, I think, what is it called? Leasing, whatever. What was that thing called with Philips, national government and Philips, where they're leasing medical equipments to the counties? I'm not sure. Yeah, you can check. It was very expensive, but you look at what they it was not something that was
Okay. All right. Okay. Conrad?
keeping in it the needs of what were our needs then, because we are spending so much money, close to 30. It was 30. The first time I heard about it was 36 billion. Yes,
I know, and it's okay.
I'm saying the first time I heard about it was 36 billion. Yeah, I heard about it was 36 billion, something like that. Medical list, I don't know it is per year. I'll verify the figure so that I can be able to talk about that. But you see, that is a lot of money. But what are the equipments that have gone to the counties? Some of these equipments, by the way, our governor was talking about this issue, and they were telling that some of these things they were brought, but he said no, we didn't have a place to put them, so they're somewhere in a store. They have been stored all that time. When they brought this equipment, some of them they are saying because we have an old X-ray, they brought the new CT scans, and they say they have no space for that. So those things are just being taken somewhere, they are stored there, waiting for another building to be constructed. So we see we lack priority. We like applying cosmetic solutions. Somebody lacks this, you say like, oh, let us go and buy for them, but these equipment come with their own manpower. They come with staffing issues. They come with capacity capabilities. So we need to. I think we need we need as a public now to agitate more for the government to be very active in terms of ensuring that our healthcare system is well provided for.
Okay, good. Thank you, Conrad. That's an in-depth kind of thinking. So I want to come to Alphonse. Alphonse,
Yes.
now, especially to you, the issue has always been when maybe these healthcare professionals go out there and agitate for these things, maybe the public have not really put pressure, yeah, for the government to see the most important. Why is it important? Now, the question is, moving forward, we are saying now, this time, we must fix these maybe healthcare kind of system failures. What does the public need to do? And if we don't fix it, how can we put ourselves accountable?
We are accountable even now. We are suffering not because somebody did not do something, but because we did not do something. And if we don't do it, then the only thing we have next option we have is mass graves, matters health. The only thing we have not experienced is how to be buried in graves massively. So if we want to have mass graves, then we should continue behaving normal in an abnormal situation. Now, healthcare workers, all of them, whether they are nurses or doctors, clinical officers, or any other group, they have always agitated for something they call CBA, collective bargaining agreement. Now, let's agree, or let's understand what CBA is about. CBA is about a holistic work environment that favors the customer, the owner of the place, and the worker. So it must look into all those aspects. So if the worker brings their proposals in a CBA, they will have CBA that proposes many things that helps them to do work well, but also helps them to have a good life. So in the proposal of doctors, for example, there are two things that will be clear. For a doctor to be successful, they must have a good life. So they will be asking for themselves in that regard. That means they want a good salary, good allowances, good housing. They will need good, so that they, even if they ask for good houses, just give me a good house I live in as long as I'm your employee. They will need, if they need packages of their children to be taken to school. So they need good things for themselves. That's part one. But part two, that will not make them as doctors successful if their patients will all die. So they will say, now that I'm a doctor, I require gloves. I require medicine in the hospital. Because you see, when we go to the hospital and you lack medicine in the hospital, we don't think that government did not provide. Instead, we say that doctors are selling the drugs. And we can't be convinced otherwise.
Yeah,
So we don't even look, even we don't look into the budget. How much did the government budget for medicine for this year? We don't participate in budget making process when money is being allocated. So what we are saying is that after this, and even during this, because budget process is still ongoing, so it will not be waiting for Corona to be over. And after April, ideally the process is closed for the public. Then it does some fine tuning and then goes to executive ratifies, then takes it to parliament for a reading in June. And that is it. In July, we start a new financial year with that budget. So if we don't participate in these processes, and for doctors don't serve themselves. Yeah, they serve us. So if we want good medical care, we must be in the forefront to fight for the well-being of doctors. Like now, if 60 doctors are in quarantine, if 8 of them are in quarantine, if 25 are positive, COVID positive,
yeah,
the doctors will say our colleagues are positive, they are in quarantine. What about the government who was supposed to protect them? Government will say nobody. You see, when Mutahi Kagwe, as our CS was saying, he says that we are wishing them to be to be sick. You see, that is a sick statement. That makes me very sick, by the way, because I don't understand how a whole government want to assume that we are not in touch with these people. These people live with us in this community. They're our friends, they're our brothers and sisters, they're our husbands and wives. So if your spouse is already quarantined and somebody says that you're wishing them to be sick and yet they are sick, they have been found positive. You have heard that somebody in Ngara is already positive and the CS is still denying. Now, in such a situation, we don't entertain the CS at all. Because if you entertain the CS, the next thing that will happen, it is your brother, yourself, or your spouse, or your own mother who will be sick and dead. Why? Because we didn't take care of that doctor who was supposed to take care of the rest of us. So I think we don't need to talk about agitating. We need to agitate. We don't need to, I have heard people saying that middle class. This country has no middle class, for your information.
yeah.
This country has no middle class. Somebody who wants to pay 25,000, 35,000 and think that they are now earning for rent, and that rent they also buy. They are buying some car on loan. They have a house that they cannot afford even to move from that house to another house of similar value. Then their children cannot go to school if they don't get salary increment for the following year. If they lose the job they can't survive for 2 months. Those are not middle class. So if those are the people who think they're living well, then those are the reasons why we are where we are. We must wake up as a people. We must fight for what makes our system work, and our system only will work if we stop privatization of all the elements of healthcare. There is nothing private in our healthcare that is good for us. Nothing. So if private is thriving and the public is dying, it is because the private want the public to die so that they can remain in business. As long as they're in business, what we saw in Busia, where Conrad comes from, where 30 children are injected by somebody who doesn't even know how to hold a syringe, and then they are all disabled, and even because of their poverty status, nobody can even fight for them. They were brought just for PR purposes in Nairobi, then they are left on their own. We are not told about the story. If you come from those villages, and Conrad may tell us about them, you find that those children, those families are still suffering. So we must rise up. It's not a matter of story. For us to be free, there must be a price to pay. And it is us to pay the price if we expect younger people than us or the generations to come to have a better situation. We are freely speaking today because somebody paid the price. We must pay a price for our children to have a better country.
Good. Thank you for that. Wekesa, turn on your mic. Or I can turn. Okay, good. So my question is, St. John's Ambulance used to have a very good program whereby almost in all hotspot areas, they used to have a response team, and they had some kind of container. I think they had some in Naivasha, Nakuru Highway, another one, Nairobi Naivasha Highway, and even Eldoret Road, all those areas where we have hotspots. Now the question is, what is hindering county governments to come with that kind of project, since now St. John's does not implement that currently?
Yeah, I think, in fact, for me, I wanted to say that ambulances should not just be like a vehicle that needs to transport somebody from the scene of the accident to where he needs to medical attention. But actually, our ambulances need to be mobile clinics, where that when you enter in that ambulance, there is almost like 40 or 30% of medical emergency that you can be attended in terms of resuscitation and then stabilization of the patient, because most of the patients die in between that period of the accident and period where they need to be stabilized before they are treated. So if our if our ambulances are converted to be mobile clinics, where when it comes, there is a trained personnel who will attend to the patient, and there is everything that they require to actually attend to the patient. Why don't you make it look like it's just an ICU in its own? So what you are talking about about St. John's, it's the right thing they did, but it needs now to be adopted by all counties, at least in every part, especially those hotspots for accidents. They need to have those emergency, the field marshal doctors or nurses or medical practitioners who can easily attend to a patient in terms of offering the first aid that they require. You know, if somebody is bleeding and is on a route where there is jam, even if they give room for ambulance to pass, but it will be delayed. So that that idea of St. John's was a good idea. It needs to be improved and fashioned so that it can suit all counties in terms of our effectiveness. To we saw that idea of mobile clinics. I don't know where it disappeared to, but we need to reinforce it.
Okay, good. So that's good. I hope it can be implemented. Okay, Conrad. Now you talked about ICU being built in your county, and we have been having some issues, like maybe governors when they are actually maybe building these facilities, or even buying supply for hospitals. There's a huge problem, like you saw maybe in Bungoma, where they bought a 10, I'm not sure if it's 5 liters or 10 sanitizer for almost 8,000. Now the question is, even in Muranga now they are building the biggest ICU unit. Now the question is, how do we implement these things as well as remain accountable? Conrad?
I think one of the issues we have currently, and it's not just about hospitals and the rest of the things, about everything. Once you hear these people saying they're going to build something, you have to wait for it and see it first of all and see what is it, because most of the time what they build is not even up to standard. So I think there should be a standard way of these things out there. There should be a quality assurance that if they are building something like an ICU, should be up to these standards. Because from what you have seen, even me, I'm just skeptical about what we are going to be shown. because if it is coming from a county where they have built a stadium with the pillars in the middle, so many pillars.
Okay, proceed.
We should have at least some quality assurance to ensure that whatever these counties are building, rather than people just going to build something, then it is not even built specifically for that purpose. It's just something they have built, some house, then they put there some beds and bring some few machines and say, oh, this is our ICU. There should always be a standard that is approved. Approved probably by something. That's why I was insisting that the management of health should be at least be something that is standardized across the county, so that if you decide to do something, do it up to a certain standard, so that we are sure, like if an ICU is being built in Busia, the same ICU you get it in Machakos, the same ICU you get it in Mandera, not that in one county you go to an ICU bed, it doesn't look anything better than some fancy classroom.
Yeah. True. All right, good. Conrad, I think we lost you, but I think I got your point. So I want to come in the same issue, Alphonse, and this is even more into staffing. Now, why even in Mombasa ICU is different from Nyamira ICU. Like Nyamira ICU looks, I don't want to comment. Alphonse, you can go on this. How do we standardize these things? All right, sorry. Okay, good. Continue.
Are there no standards of ICU globally? Are we creating standards now?
No, there is, but now the problem is in Mombasa you can get a very good standard for ICU, but if you go to Nyamira you get a completely different, and these are counties and they get almost same budgets.
So in that case, like in this case, you know me, this is my job to say the truth. Nyamira does not have an ICU, period. So anything else that is called ICU, you don't have an ICU by calling it ICU. It becomes ICU by the facilities, and that includes the staffing. So if you have a good building with everything ready, and there's no power and there's no staff, it's not ICU until it can function. Yes. So we are supposed to, like what Conrad is talking about, ICU cannot be built in 2 days.
Yeah.
So whatever they're doing is managing the public expectations. They are not building an ICU in Busia. Take it from me. If they could not build it from 1963 when we got independence, it can't be done in 2 days without procurement process being done properly, without proper budgeting on board. It can't be done just by waking up and saying we can do it. So there is no ICU being built in Busia, but there is a semblance of ICU for the sake of managing the public, and we must be serious about it, that we need ICU. You see, this country has how many ICU beds? To be honest, 533, if I'm not wrong. That is private plus public combined. Now, what you think? What if the public and private combines to less than 600? You think that now it will be easier for us to build one in each county overnight? It won't happen, because that simply means there's a cost implication that is huge and that is staggering. So that cost can only be managed, one, by not having even a subsidiary budget, but we must have a substantive budgeting process around it way in advance. Yeah, because again, ICU as a facility is a facility of long-term usage and purpose. So you cannot build it without knowing how you're going to handle this facility long-term. In this case, we are having a crisis. So most of the things we're handling in a crisis are short-term measures to curb the COVID-19 situation.
Okay.
Let me just say it in the language Professor Ken would have said it. Huo ni utepetevu wa wafanyikazi wa serikali na ni lazima tuanze kujua kwamba wakati umefika, kitu lazima ijengwe kwa misingi ambayo itaweza dumu zaidi ya vizazi vyetu.
Hiyo Kiswahili iko sawa. Hiyo Kiswahili iko sawa kabisa. Alright, Conrad, nataka sasa tumepata challenge hapa kwa Alphonse. So Conrad, nataka tuongee about maisha ya Ken Walibora kwa sababu alitu inspire like me. I think because of his book I related a lot na ili inspire time. So my swali ni kwamba na katika mwisho wa maisha yake aliishi ni kama alikuwa mpweke sana. Ni kama alikuwa anasema December's of his book. Like hakukuwa labda familia yake karibu na yeye, hakukuwa na marafiki, hata wale wenye walikuwa wanafanya kazi na yeye hawakujua marafiki wake wa karibu, jamii ya familia yake, na aliishi kama mtu msiri sana. Kwa nini tunaona hii mambo katika maybe even maybe in doctors, health professionals, even those people, even professors? And by the way, professors, nasema this is my personal opinion kwa sababu niko na marafiki sitaki ni ikuwe na shida. Okay, Conrad, continue.
I think it's like ni mtu alipenda privacy yake. He's somebody who love his privacy very much, and because we know nothing much about him, just from reading his books, probably that's the much we know about him, and probably listening to him in various stations. Then from there, nothing much. See, it is it's about personal preference. It's about how people choose to live their lives. Some probably they will choose to be very private in some issues because of probably that's where they are brought. They'll spend most of their years trying to going through so much in the academia, such that they have tended to be introverts by default, so they continue that lifestyle like that. So most of these things are just about personal preference because some of them also are on the other side. So it is both ways, but I think on the issue about him, just about an issue of I think it was personal preference, because other than him, nothing much. We don't know much about him, and we didn't know much when he was alive, other than what was written in his books. So many people are trying to, wanasema nini, kuchambua riwaya yake ya Siku Njema, kuona kama katika hizo riwaya zake alitabiri kifo chake au ameishi maisha yake. Hiyo tutaachia watu wa fasihi watatuchambulia mambo haya katika wanapochambua riwaya zake, kuona tafsiri ya kina kuhusu hayo mambo.
Ni sawa, umejaribu sana. Alphonse, nataka
I think I'm done about him.
Alphonse, I want you to explain to us hii maisha yake, katika mwisho wa maisha yake aliishi ni kama alikuwa na upweke, na kwa vitabu vyake anaongea kuhusu upweke sana, si ndio? So hatujui mke wake, watoto wake, labda hatujaiwaona, hajaituelezea kuwahusu. Najua mama yake ameimuongea sana, maybe alifariki kitambo. Hatujui marafiki wake, hata wale wenye wanafanya kazi na yeye hawako wanajua. Hebu tuelezee kulingana na wewe hii personality, maybe you can explain to us.
Pengine nitarudi katika kidato cha kwanza penye nilianza kusoma Kiswahili vizuri sasa. Na tulifundishwa kuhusu fasihi. Tukaambiwa fasihi ni kioo cha jamii. Na kwenye kioo kuna akisi. Ukiangalia kwa kioo utaona akisi. Maana yake ukijiangalia kwa kioo utaona mfano wako kioni. Ama kwa kioo. Sasa hiyo akisi mara nyingi huwa ni mfano halisi kwa yule ama kile ambacho kiko mbele ya kioo. Kwa hivyo kama fasihi ni kioo cha jamii, inamaanisha kwamba fasihi itajaribu sana kutusaidia kuona vile ama jinsi jamii inavyokaa. Fasihi pia huliwaza, fasihi hupumbaza, fasihi hutuliza. Hasa kando na kwamba tulipata utulivu na tukaliwazwa na kazi yake ya fasihi, lakini pia tusiweze kukimbia na kusema kwamba hakuwa anaongea kuhusu maisha yake. Maana hata unaposikia mwenzetu alipokuwa anaongea hapa Wekesa, alisema walipokutana naye aliwaambia kwamba mengi ambayo aliandika katika kile kitabu cha Siku Njema alikuwa yanaakisi maisha yake mwenyewe. Yalikuwa mfano wa maisha yake. Alikuwa anatoa yale ambayo amepitia mwenyewe na anaweza kuweka katika ile kazi yake ya usanii kupitia kwa riwaya yake ya Siku Njema. Kwa hivyo unapoangalia Kongowea Mswahili, pengine alikuwa anajiakisi mwenyewe kama kuwa ndiye Kongowea Mswahili. Babake ndiye alikuwa pengine ni Juma Mkosi ama Amuji Isokum alivyokuwa ameandika pale. Kwa hivyo mimi naona kwamba sijapata shida kuweza kulinganisha maisha yake jinsi ameyaishi na jinsi pia aliandika kitabu chake cha riwaya yake ya Siku Njema. Hata kazi zake zingine si hiyo tu. Kazi zake zingine ukiona vitu vingi ambavyo watu wanaongea kumhusu, na uangalie jinsi alivyokuwa anafanya kazi. Hata wengi hatujui alikuwa anafanya kazi Nation Media Group kuanzia. Hata yeye alikuwa mtu wa kwanza kuanzisha kitengo cha Kiswahili katika wanahabari wa redio na runinga kule Nation Media Group. Hatukuwa tunajua hayo, wengi wetu hatukuwa tunayajua. Wengine tunasikia saa hizi, wengine hata hatujasikia. Kwa nini? Alikuwa msiri mkubwa. Na ukiangalia katika wahusika wake pia ana wahusika wakubwa ambao walikuwa wasiri. Juma Mkosi mwenyewe alikuwa msiri mkubwa. Kwa hivyo ni kuna kitu anajua kuhusu kuwa msiri, ndipo akasema anapoandika kuhusu kuwa msiri tunaweza kujihisi kana kwamba anaongea kuhusu kitu ambacho kiko hai nasi ule wakati ambao alikuwa anaandika hiyo riwaya Siku Njema. Lakini hata hivyo naweza kusema kwamba pia ni mwanadamu wa kawaida, kwa hivyo lazima kuwe na hulka na haiba ya wanadamu wengine. Na mojawapo ya hulka ya wanadamu ni kuwa na usiri. Na kila mtu ako na usiri, ile tu viwango vya kuweka siri ndio tofauti kutoka kwa mtu mmoja hadi mwingine. Kwa hivyo mimi sina shida na hiyo. Kuna kitu ambacho nasema kuhusu upweke. Na ni maudhui ambayo yamejitokeza katika riwaya yake ya Siku Njema vizuri sana. Upweke. Sana sana ya mzee Juma Mkosi aliishi maisha ya upweke sana. Na pia yeye tunapomuona pengine hatujakuwa na uhakika, maana hatujui kuhusu jamii yake zaidi. Mama yake ambayo tunajua kumhusu ni mama yake mlezi ambaye si mama yake mzazi. Sijui kama ni mama yake wa kambo ama si wa kambo, lakini najua ni mama yake mlezi ambaye tunamjua kumhusu. Tumemwona pia kwenye vyombo vya habari wakati huu ambapo mambo yametokea. Tunajua wenzake kule Makutano kwa Ngozi. Ni kweli aliandika kwa riwaya ya Siku Njema kuhusu Kongowea alizaliwa Makutano kwa Ngozi, na ni ukweli yeye pia alizaliwa Makutano kwa Ngozi kule Trans Nzoia, Kitale. So kwa hivyo kuna vitu vingi ambavyo tunaweza linganisha maisha yake na kazi yake ya uandishi. Lakini unapoangalia wale ambao wameweza kuwa naye, waandishi wenzake, wanahabari wenzake, wenzake ambao walikuwa pia ni wahadhiri wa vyuo vikuu, amekuwa mhadhiri wa vyuo vikuu mpaka kule Marekani, na huko hata ndiye akiandika kuhusu ndoto ya Marekani ama Amerika. Alikuwa na ndoto siku moja pia akiwa mkubwa anaweza taka kuenda ng'ambo na aende Marekani, na alienda huko akaishi kule, akafundisha kule katika chuo kikuu cha Wisconsin. Na kwa hivyo kuna vitu vingi mimi naweza sema kwamba kazi yake ya usanii hasa kama mwandishi wa riwaya, wa tamthilia na hata pia wa hadithi fupi ni kwamba anajaribu sana kuakisia maisha ya kawaida, na mengi pia anajaribu kuyatoa katika maisha yake mwenyewe na mazingira yake. Kwa hivyo sidhani kama kuna kitu kikubwa sana kati ya utofauti huo, ama kama ni sadfa, maana mimi sijaona sadfa, na kama ni sadfa ambayo ni sadfa kwetu, si kwake. Na mimi nimejaribu kuongea Kiswahili kidogo.
Umeongea Kiswahili sanifu kabisa. Konrad, umeongea Kiswahili kama
tajaribu sana.
Konrad, kwa sababu tunajaribu kumpa buheri profesa, nataka utuelezee vizazi vijazo vitajifunza kivipi kuhusu maisha yake na kazi zake, na watapata motivation kivipi?
Kwanza ni mtu, kitabu chake I think nimesoma kitabu chake kimoja.
Endelea. Konrad, endelea. Right, Konrad. Alright, so ni kama Konrad tunampoteza. Labda Alphonse, turudi kwako kabla Konrad arudi. Tunaweza maybe kwa vizazi sasa ambavyo ama vitakuja.
Siku Njema I think ndio kitabu chake nilikisoma kitambo kiasi.
Just continue. Konrad again.
Tumesema kitabu chake nimekisoma, ni kitabu kimoja, hiyo Siku Njema. Ilikuwa bado chuo cha upili, although hatukufanya hiyo kitabu, lakini nilipata fursa moja kuweza kuhudhuria mhadhara mmoja ambao alikuwa katika chuo kikuu cha Masinde Muliro, ilikuwa karibu na shule niliyosomea, pamoja na Profesa Igara Kabaji. Na ni watu ambao ukiangalia ni yeye na watu wale wameandika tamthilia na fasihi ya lugha ya Kiswahili ni watu ambao saa hii kuna mengi tunaweza jifunza kwao, kwa sababu saa hii ukiangalia wakati huu tamthilia za Kiswahili, riwaya na hizo zingine za Kiswahili ni finyu sana katika our reading catalog. Na watu wengi ambao wameandika tamthilia zile nzuri ambao tunaweza zisoma, nyingi yazo ni zile ziliandikwa kitambo. I think kuna what we call generational gap from the point where we had at least so many people writing literature in Kiswahili, then we had some gap, then currently not so many people are writing any literature in Kiswahili. So I think it's a push-up call for this generation. I think what they messed up with us. They emphasize for us to talk English in school. We had to be forced to talk English, or you'll be given something. So it has really gone against the literature side of Kiswahili, because not so many of us, not so many people, like right now, not so many, even me, let me just be sincere, like since I finished high school, that was the last time I read any literature in Kiswahili, although I've read several in English, but since I finished high school, that was the very last time I read anything written in Kiswahili. But even the most I've gone through them, they are always from the other years. So it's a push-up call. We need to embrace Kiswahili as a language. We need to promote it, and I think in this regard we should applaud CBC. It is coming at the right time. We need to have a language you are proud of, a language you can express ourselves, rather than this one or two. When it comes to expressing, most of us cannot even write very good Kiswahili. Leave alone, writing is an issue. So it is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. Yeah, true. We can't. So many people can't write. If you ask them to write anything in Kiswahili, they will even. I'll struggle. I'll have to take a lot of time to write anything decent in Kiswahili. Anything long and decent in Kiswahili, I'll have to take a lot of time to do that. So it is this generation, we need to learn a lot, and we need to learn from the walikienzi Kiswahili, Ken Walibora alikienzi Kiswahili. I heard him several times in some radio station. I don't know what the name of that is. He was in some radio station, used to have some kipindi ya Kiswahili. I used to hear it just by the way. So, and he has been very instrumental in the Kiswahili, because I met him in one of the very first, and I think the only time I've ever heard him talk was only one time when we were in high school. Then we went to, I think, some gathering of people, of clubs Kiswahili.
Okay. All right, Conrad, we lost you again. So Conrad, we lost you. All right. Sawa, tumepata point ya Conrad. Kabla asuluhishe hizo shida za network, Alphonse, nataka kuja kwako. Nataka utuelezee maybe vizazi ambavyo vinakuja, ni nini tunaweza jifunza na nini tunaweza fanya kuenzi maybe maisha ya Kenya.
Clubs in different universities.
Okay. I think we have a problem of network. Conrad.
Yes.
I think, sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we had a problem. Maybe we did not.
I think my network is an issue. My network I'm using, I have to go outside so that I can get. We have a big issue with network these sides.
I understand. So I'm getting Alphonse to give his maybe what generations who will come, what they will learn from his life and his works, and then now we will finish. Okay, Alphonse.
Kuhusu vizazi viliopo na vile vijavyo, kuna mambo mengi ya kuweza kujifundisha kutoka kwa maisha ya mwenda zake Profesa Ken Waliaula Walibora. Cha kwanza ni kwamba alifanya kile alichokienzi, na ilikuwa kukikuza lugha ya Kiswahili kwa mapana na marefu. Kwa hivyo kitu cha kwanza ni kile ambacho nakienzi, si lazima tukiwe Kiswahili ama lugha. Kikuze, tia bidii kwa kile ambacho unapenda, anzia pale ulipo, enda polepole, kwa mwaminifu kwa mkondo huo, na bila shaka utafanikiwa wakati mmoja. Kwa hakika ukisikia yale ambayo yamesemwa na wale ambao wanamjua Ken kuanzia utotoni mwake, katika maisha yake ya hapo awali, utapata kwamba wanasema walikuwa wachochole, walikuwa watu ambao hawakuwa na mengi ambao wanaweza kujivunia kirasilimali, lakini alikuwa mtu wa bidii, kwa mwanafunzi wa bidii, amekuwa mfanyikazi wa bidii, na kwa hivi sasa tunamjua sisi wote kwa sababu ya bidii yake na kukienzi Kiswahili kama lugha na pia chombo cha mawasiliano. Ametumia kuwasiliana, na hata alipokuwa anafundisha kule Marekani hakukuwa anafundisha Kiingereza ama kwa Kiingereza, alikuwa anatumia Kiswahili hata akiwa Ulaya, hata akiwa Marekani, hata akiwa ng'ambo kule ambako pia aliishi. Kwa hivyo naamini ya kwamba hicho ni kitu muhimu sana ambacho tunaweza kujifundisha. Jambo la pili, kulingana na yale ambayo pia tumeyasikia kuhusu maisha ya Ken Walibora, ni kwamba alikuza wengine. Kuna watu wengi ambao nimesikia ni waandishi wa vitabu, wachapishaji wa vitabu, na wameweza kujifundisha mengi kutokana na kazi ya Ken, na pia Ken kuwakuza kuwa kwa vipeo walivyo sasa hivi. Ken amewafundisha, Ken ametembea nao, Ken ameweza kuwaongoza. Kwa hivyo pia tunapopata nafasi ya kuongoza wengine, kukuza wengine kwa vitu mbalimbali vile ambavyo tunavifanya, tuchukue fursa hiyo kuweza kujua kwamba tutaweza kukumbukwa zaidi, si kwa kile ambacho tu tulifanya, lakini pia kwa yale ambayo tulifanyia wengine wakaweza kujikuza. Na katika kijiji chao kule Makutano kwa Ngozi, alisaidia hata shule ya msingi alikotoka. Amesaidia wanavijiji, vijana na wazee, ameweza kuwasaidia katika miradi mbalimbali. Unapofanikiwa maishani, rudi nyumbani usaidie wale ambao pia wangependa kuwa pale ulipo ama zaidi ya hapo. Maana jamii inatutegemea sisi wote, na ukisahau nyumbani, basi hakuna yule ambaye ataweza kuikuza, na tutakuwa tunaiacha ikibaki nyuma zaidi na zaidi. Kwa hivyo hayo ni yale ambayo naweza kusema kwa haraka ambayo tunajifunza kwa Ken. Lakini la mwisho kwangu mimi mwenyewe, nimejifunza kwamba maisha tumeweza kuazimia, tumeazimiwa maisha haya, tunaishi maisha kwa mkopo. Kwa hivyo ni vyema tukiishi maisha kwa njia ambayo inaweza kutupatia ridhaa ama inaweza kutupatia faida, ili wakati mkopo huo utakaporudishwa, urudishwe ukiwa na faida. Wale ambao walituona nao waseme maisha hayo uliyatumia vizuri, uliyatumia vema. Nami kama Mkristo, mimi kama mpenda Mungu, ningependa kusema kwamba mcha Mungu yeyote na mtu yeyote yule duniani, ni vema kama utaweza kutumia maisha yako kwa sababu ya wengine pia, si kwa sababu yako tu.
Kweli. Vema kabisa. Conrad, nataka upeane kauli yako ya mwisho katika hii mjadala wa sekta ya afya. So unmute your mic, Conrad. Good. So peana kauli yako ya mwisho alafu tutamaliza. So kauli yako ya mwisho alafu tuende kwa Alphonse, tutamaliza hii mjadala wa leo.
Kauli yangu ya mwisho ni kuwahimiza tu Wakenya wenzangu, tuendelee kukaza kamba kuhusu safari hii ambayo tunayo ya janga hili, hizo virusi vya COVID-19, because safari bado ni ndefu na si wakati. Kwanza huu ndio wakati ambao tunahitaji kuwa na umakinifu mkubwa. Tunapoona maambukizi yanaanza kupanda, hapo ndio tunafaa kuwa na umakinifu mkubwa, tujihadhari. Tuanze, kama una chochote ambacho unafikiria unaweza saidia mwenzako, tusingoje, tuanze kusaidiana moja kwa moja, ili because sisi wote hatujui kile ambacho kiko mbele. naweza tu sema, tunaweza angalia tukasema hii zingine kimekuwa hivi, nchi ingine imekuwa hivi, lakini sote hatujui nini kiko mbele. Sasa ni wakati wa kuwa na umakinifu mkubwa kuhakikisha kwamba yale yote ambayo Wizara ya Afya inaeleza tunayafuata, na pia ni wakati ambapo Wizara ya Afya inafaa ikuje na maelezo dhabiti ambayo yanaweza pia kuwapatia watu tumaini, kwa sababu sasa tunavyoona mambo yanaendelea, watu wameanza kuwa na ile inaitwa ile udhaifu wa kusikiza haya mambo, kwa sababu yanasemwa kila kitu, yanasemwa kila siku ni hayo hayo tu, kuanzia Jumatatu hadi Jumatatu. Hatuoni mpango ambao tunao kama serikali nao ya kuangalia hili janga tutapambana nalo vipi. Pia wanakaa kama sisi ambao tunashindwa kujua nini kitafanyika kesho yake. So ni wakati wa kukaza kamba na kuangalia ensure that we journey, because it will be a long journey. And about the two brothers is may they rest in peace. Ken Walibora at least amesaidia watu wengi wakakienzi, watu wengi wamesoma tamthilia zake na wameweza kukienzi Kiswahili kupitia kwake, na ni mtu ambaye jina lake linajulikana. Ukiuliza karibu kila mtu, jina lake limejulikana kulingana na kazi ambayo imefanya. So ni mtu ambaye anaweza kuigwa. Vile Alphonse amesema, what matters, whatever you do, just have passion for it and do it well, and that's how people will remember you. So it is a wake up call for all of us to always, in whatever we do, however little we think whatever we are doing is, we always just do it perfectly, so that the other people, they look back and say, this was a guy who once lived here, and he was, as Maya Angela said, he was he's the best cleaner I've ever seen. So you should always strive to to do what you are passionate about and do it very well.
Okay,
so
good.
Those are what I can say right now, and have a good evening.
Good. Thank you Conrad. Alphonse, peana kauli yako ya mwisho.
Nimeshukuru sana. Na mimi mnanisikia?
Yeah.
Kuhusu hali ya sekta ya afya na mambo ya COVID-19 nchini, nataka kuongelesha watu wafuatao. Mtu wa kwanza ni Mkenya. Kuna Wakenya ambao wamejaribu kufuata maagizo walioambiwa. Ninawashukuru. Asanteni. Msife moyo, mtilie mkazo, hatujamaliza safari. Kuna Wakenya wengine pia hawajachukulia na kutilia manani maagizo hayo. Maagizo hayo si ya serikali, ni ya jamii, ni yetu sote. Tafadhali tugeuze nia na mienendo, tukaweze kufuata maagizo hayo ili tukaweze kupona kwa haraka, ili tutoke katika hili janga na haya maneno na turudi katika maisha yetu ya kawaida ya kuwa na shughuli zetu za kawaida kila siku. Wa pili ambao nimependa kuongelesha ni wahudumu wa afya nchini, madaktari na wahudumu wengine wote wa afya. Tunawashukuru kwa kujitolea mhanga kwenu kuhakikisha kwamba vita hivi dhidi ya virusi vya corona tunavidhibiti na tunashinda virusi hivi. Asanteni sana. Msife moyo. Na mkiwa na shida yoyote msinyamaze. Mjieleze, na Wakenya tutaweza kujaribu ile ambalo tunaweza pia kuongea ili tukaweze kuwa na yale ambayo mnataka yatimizwe na yanaweza kutimizwa yametimizwa. Ninawaambia msijihatarishe, lakini muwe kipaumbele katika vita hivi. Wa mwisho ni serikali yetu. Vitengo viwili ambavyo vimetokea. Kitengo cha kwanza ni kwamba serikali imetupatia mambo mengi mazuri ya kufuata na kutilia mkazo, na mmeifanya kwa bidii. Asanteni. Hata hivyo,
Alright, continue. Alphonse. Okay, so Alphonse, unaweza endelea? Hello, okay. So inaonekana tunampoteza Alphonse. Alphonse? Right. Alphonse, unanisikia?
Nilikuwa nimepotea.
Ulikuwa umepotea. Pole. Endelea tu.
Okay. Nilikuwa nasema kwa serikali yetu tukufu, kuna mambo mengi mmetuambia na mkatuelekeza vizuri na tunashukuru. Lakini pia kuna mambo ambayo lazima mjue mmetupotosha, mmetuangusha, na tuna taarifa tofauti kama wananchi kuhusu jinsi mnavyo weza kuhakikisha kwamba wahudumu wa afya wamejikinga, mavazi ya kujikinga yote hamjawapatia ya kutosha. Wengine hawana hata tunavyoongea hivi, na wanatishiwa. Tafadhali, si wakati wa kutishia wafanyikazi wa hapa nchini ambao wanatusaidia katika kazi hii, hasa katika sekta ya afya. Idara ya afya inahitaji kuhakikisha kwamba kila mmoja anaungana nao, anawatia moyo, na pia anasaidia na ule msaada ambao wako nao. Na serikali ni kazi yenu kuhakikisha wamepata kinga ya kutosha wanapoenda kazini. Jinsi tu jeshi huwa wanapewa zana za vita na wanajiandaa ya kutosha kabla ya kuingia vitani, ningependa pia ujue kwamba hawa ndio jemedari wetu wakati huu wa COVID-19. Tafadhali muwape zana zote zinazohitajika kudhibiti vita hivi dhidi ya virusi vya corona. Zaidi ya yote, kuna madaktari hawajaweza kulipwa mishahara, na Kirinyaga ni mojawapo, zaidi ya miezi 9.
So what,
kwa hivyo wote, na hata katika kaunti zingine ama sehemu zingine za nchi ambazo kuna watu wanalia na wahudumu wa afya, tafadhali muweze kusuluhisha yale ambayo wanayaleta kwenu, si kwa sababu wanajitakia makuu, lakini kwa sababu ili waweze kutusaidia sisi wote, lazima pia waweze kusaidika, waweze kuwa na afya njema, waweze kuongozwa. Asanteni sana, na kwa wale ambao walikuwa wanatusikiliza na kutazama kote walikokuwa, tumewashukuru. Asanteni. Ken Walibora na Karanja Mburu Makiwa.
All right.
Okay.
Asanteni. Good night.
What your notice at the landlord ukiana notice. Kimondana ingilia kati.
Good night.
This makes expensive but worth it.
Right. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow for another session. I'd like to say rest in peace for Ken and our friend Honorable MC